Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jack Blade, and today we're not playing Satisfactory like we normally do. We're playing Path of Exile 2. I polled my community, and they were like, "Yeah, go for it." I streamed it on the release for 10 hours and went through the entirety of Act 1. All the content, all the bosses, everything is dead. And I experimented a little bit with the Huntress. Now, what I want to do with today's video is talk a little bit about 10 tips that I think are really good for new players or old players on not just the Huntress, but what you can do to help yourself out in a little bit of the game. And for veteran players, like, a lot of these tips are just gonna like, yeah, whatever, these are super basic, blah blah blah. But I think it's important that we focus on making the game as positive of an experience as possible for as many people as possible, and I want to inspire a little bit, so that's what we're focusing on today. Now, let's get into this. Tip number 1 is dealing specifically with your gear and your damage when you press P and go to your passive skill tree. So here's the thing. During the campaign, if you just use the gear in the campaign that you get from drops, and you put a little bit of like resource into crafting them, putting up a couple of extra modifiers on them, or like rolling good modifiers on them as they roll, what you will get is enough defensive layers with energy shield, with life, with evasion, armor, whatever you're using, to make it through the entire campaign, pretty much, or at least up to Cruel. What you need to focus on in terms of your passive skill tree is damage. You need to do as much damage as possible, because in the beginning of the game, you are very weak, you have very bad weapons and everything, so most of your damage scaling happens on the tree. If you are really early on in the game, and you don't have the all of your item slots filled up with gear, an easy way to do that is by talking to Risu in the second act, and in the first act, you talk to our boy Finn. And what you will then be able to do is gamble for a little stuff. If you have a little bit of money, they're too expensive for me right now because I just went through this, but if you have a little bit of money, what you can then do is say like, hey, I don't have a helmet. I want one with evasion rating. Boom. Random helmet, guaranteed evasion rating. But what you might get is like uniques, you might get rares, you will at least get a magic item with some modifiers on it. So that's a great way to make sure that you have something in the slot, anything in the slot, because every slot is an extra amount of modifiers. Tip number 3. There is a instinctual thing that you do if you're new to games like this, which is stay and farm. You're like, ooh, I got good stuff here, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit and clear this map twice, or something like that. The problem with that is that you slow down your leveling. What you want to do is essentially like, here's Clearfill of Cam, when you start there, right? And then you get Clearfill. Here's the thing. Clearfill goes from Clearfill, just completely ignore everything, go through, do the boss in Mudburrow, and then go straight up to Grellwood. If you're one of the people who have been struggling a lot with your Huntress build, what I can recommend trying out to make it simpler for yourself is by focusing on these 4 skills. Using Lightning Spear as your main source of damage. This is your throwing spear, right? Using Expedite on your explosive spear. Herald of Thunder, when you can get the spirit stuff, and then Stormlands, when you do get access to the level 5 gems. What I do recommend is having these skills focus on lightning damage or physical damage, because Lightning Spear and Stormlands and that stuff, it converts. Explosive Spear as well, it converts your physical damage into whatever element it is. So have a lot of physical damage and then buff your elemental damage. Tip number 5. If you are stuck, like you literally can't kill things, you can't deal with the content that you're at right now, there is nothing wrong with heading over to your waypoint, heading back to earlier content and farming gear and currencies, right? Don't think, okay, I need to level, I need to farm levels. That's not what's going to get you the power you need. Gear is, currencies, getting a couple of exalted orbs, dropping them, getting a few orb of transmutation, a few orb of augmentation, a few regal orbs up and running. That is how you get gear that you can just go like, okay, I got this. Tip number 6. When you are a squishy character, what you want to do is almost pre-fire towards the edge of the map, like this, so that when you end up with a bunch of enemies all over the place, you are already doing damage. It is what will prevent you from being overwhelmed. And fights very quickly turn out like this. That's why the damage is so important. We're back on the Act 1 map for tip number 7. You can find certain bosses and stuff like that by looking on the map, right? And what you want to look for specifically, the important ones, like certain of these you can skip. Certain are super important. The ones that are really important are the ones that has this little plus. If you see one of these, like Una's hut, if you see something like, where do we have you? Over here, the Crow Bell. We have here the King in the Mist. They all have this little plus. Bearer of the Rotten Pack has a plus. These are permanent bonuses that stacks and it never goes away. You want these because they will help you clear the campaign so much faster on top of the good drops they get. Tip number 7. If you are playing and you are clearing a map and you don't want to necessarily continue to the next map yet, but you also want to save time, make sure that you still enter the new map because your old instance will be saved for up to 15 minutes. So what then happens is you go into the new map, and in that new map, in very few instances, this automatically happens. So basically, assume it doesn't. You go in, and you run over, and you activate the waypoint, and then you go back. You don't start clearing the new map. You go back to your old, and you continue here. Tip number 9. Don't get caught up in sunk cost fallacy. If you've spent 3 or 4 hours or an evening or like a couple of weeks playing on a character that ultimately does not feel good for you, the weapon you're playing, like the spear, has been very polarizing in the community. And if ultimately you don't feel good playing the spear, don't play the spear. It is okay to restart, to respec, to go for a new character. If you don't like the ascendancy classes or whatever it is okay. Ultimately, just do your best to enjoy the game. And finally, tip number 10. The best thing you can do for yourself to not kill your love for the game and not burn out is to not compare to content creators or to anyone. Don't even compare to other games or to the past league. The only thing that is important is, are you able to have fun? And if you can, then you are doing it right. Nothing anyone says should be able to change that. So, that's 10 tips on how to enjoy or play the game and have fun and like just get better at the game for Path of Exile 2. This is my first video in Path of Exile 2. What did you think about the video? If you liked it, show that with a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope that you guys welcome me into the community. Now, I have stuff to do, including editing this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, everyone. Bye!